Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel where we talk about stuff. Welcome back to another video of the rich are buying all the Bitcoin and normal people aren't paying attention, and at some point we are going to have trillionaires on the planet who made all their money from Bitcoin. It's an extended series. That's not the exact title, I over-exaggerated. But I've done these videos over the course of the last couple of years, and I make sure to make them whenever we hear anything relatively significant about purchases of cryptocurrencies within the cryptocurrency space. You might remember there are a bunch of other videos that I made. You can find them. I'm doing this, but they're not popping up anywhere because I'm just too lazy to actually edit that. And you can definitely find them there somewhere on all the videos that I have made. For those of you who don't know, this is going to sound ridiculous. There are only and will ever be 21 million Bitcoin. Why do I say that? Because a lot of times people don't remember to pay attention to the fact that there are over 8 billion people on the planet, and it is literally mathematically impossible for each of them to own an entire Bitcoin, even if we had already mined all the Bitcoin that's currently out there. I think it'll take it's 120 years to be able to mine all the Bitcoin, like all the last bits of Bitcoin, as we continue going through all of the actual halvings. We had news very recently as well. Someone did a further analysis, like multiple analyses, where they basically reaffirmed that there are more than 6 million Bitcoin that are lost and gone forever. That is to say, over the years, people lost their computer, they lost their smart keys, their private keys, they threw what have you, throw the computer away. There's like a lot of famous stories of people throwing their computers away and they had tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin inside of them. Right. So we also have known for a while that there are tons of companies who are buying tons of Bitcoin. If you watch this channel or the other channel is a daily news channel called The Modern Investor. I make sure to tell you every single day, not only the news, but also when we hear about companies buying up tons of cryptocurrencies and also very rich individuals, because I think it's very relevant to the cryptocurrency space. A lot of times we tend to get news that is, I don't want to say very fluffy, but you'll hear like, oh, there's regulations happening, or oh, this is taking place. But a lot of times when we do end up getting news, especially if it has anything remotely to do with Elon Musk, that ends up being the most popular news story of the day, as opposed to this company just ended up buying $900 bajillion worth of cryptocurrencies, and people end up not caring, not realizing that these people are actually buying the cryptocurrencies at lower prices because they're perceiving that the prices are going to be a lot higher in the future. Yeah, I told you before, the other previous videos, you can watch them. They're definitely somewhere out there. The most famous company currently within the cryptocurrency space is called Microstrategy. They are and have been for a while, a Bitcoin focused company. I don't know the entire inner workings of what they do, but they like Bitcoin a lot. The CEO also likes Bitcoin a lot as well. I think they also mine Bitcoin. I think they're just trading Bitcoin constantly over all the time. They're very famous for having issued large amounts of debt. They got themselves in debt multiple times by, I think the first time was $500 million and the second time was I think $1.2 billion. And they use all the debt from the money that they're making or the money that they're borrowing to actually buy more Bitcoin. Very, very weird, very, very famous, especially at those numbers. But yeah, they continue to do it. They recently announced, and once again, this is a public service announcement because I want everyone to understand these numbers. There's a reason why I said only going to be 21 million, 6 million lost. That leaves around 15 million for 8 billion people on the planet. Keeping in mind all the news that we've been hearing about a number of other celebrities and even, I guess, normal people who are also Bitcoin owners as well. Don't forget that we keep getting metrics on the other channel that basically state how many people are no longer no-coiners. I hate the term, but the idea is how many people don't not have coins. Double negative. So are you a no coiner? I own no coins. These people are not no coiners because they do own cryptocurrency. It's kind of confusing. This is why I hate the term. And that number continues to go up all the time. The metric is the amount of people who have between I think 1 million Satoshis or an entire Bitcoin. I think that's now over like 50, 60 million. No, yeah. I think it's somewhere around like 50, 60 million people have like fragments of Bitcoin. And then you talk about the people who were lucky enough years ago to have like 10 Bitcoin, 15 Bitcoin. It all adds up very, very quick when you talk about only having 15 million that are actually left. So on the discussion of MicroStrategy, they recently re-announced that they have purchased another stash of Bitcoin. They mentioned this before 3 weeks ago. They bought a couple, I I think it was like, was it $50 million worth of Bitcoin? Something absolutely nonsensical. They announced that they recently have just bought even more Bitcoin, and they now hold, wait for it, one company on this planet. 21 million, 6 million gone, 15 million that it can ever actually be owned by people. This one company owns 140,000 Bitcoin, just them alone. And a lot of times, and I mentioned on the other channel as well, people hear these numbers and they go, whoa, that's a lot of Bitcoin, but we can't really actually conceptualize what that means. 15 million. That would mean only 15 million people on the planet could have an entire Bitcoin. We know that, or at least we've been told that, over the course of these years, we know that Mike Novogratz allegedly owns a lot of Bitcoin. We could assume that the CEO of Kraken, Binance, and Coinbase also own a lot of Bitcoin. And I'm going to say like more than 100. We can all agree that these billionaires probably, if they're voting for Bitcoin, they probably own more than 1 Bitcoin, more than 100 Bitcoin, throwing it out there. We had news, this was like 2014, that allegedly the Winklevoss twins 9 years ago had roughly around 200,000 Bitcoin between them. It is safe to assume that over the course of 9 years, they bought probably a lot extra more Bitcoin, as they have repeatedly said many times that they believe that Bitcoin is going to go above $1 million, $10 million per coin, $100 million per coin, depends on how you're looking at the actual future. That also ties into the other smaller companies that we heard from on this channel. There was a pizzeria a couple years ago. They bought like 50 Bitcoin, and tons of other people in Dubai and tons of other people around the world are buying tons of Bitcoin. You might even own a half of a Bitcoin or an entire Bitcoin. If you do, you're incredibly lucky. And a lot of times people hear that they're lucky and they don't understand what it actually means, because people, once again, we can't conceptualize what it means to actually have something as finite as Bitcoin, because we're used to living in a world where we have dollars and euros and yen, and it can always be printed more. That's kind of the general idea. You can't print more Bitcoin. However many there's going to be, that's exactly how many there's going to be. One company has the equivalent of what would that actually be? So the number is if you have, what was it? If you have more than 0.28 Bitcoin, you're part of the 1% of Bitcoin holders because of how little Bitcoin that there actually is. So that's a third. So I think MicroStrategy, this one company, I think has more than, I feel like it's more than 14 million people could ever own. I feel like that's the number. 140, 1.4, yeah, I think it's, yeah. It's definitely more than that. It's probably more than 15 million people could ever own one company. And then you also equate into the fact that the news that we've also received before is that the CEO of MicroStrategy, his name is Michael Saylor, it is believed that he had in 2020 at least 17,000 Bitcoin. He is one of the most bullish people I have ever heard of in my entire life when it comes to Bitcoin. So I would safely assume that this guy who loves Bitcoin, whose company continues to buy up tens of thousands of Bitcoin over the course of a year, probably has bought more Bitcoin than he also previously had before. Throwing this out there because I think people need to hear it. Do not tell people how many Bitcoin you have. And I say that because I think a lot of times on the interwebs, people like to brag to everyone else and say, well, I have 3 Bitcoin. I have 1/4 of a Bitcoin. Have you ever walked, has someone ever invited you to a party, or have you ever walked down the street before and you declared how much money was in your bank account? No, right? So why would you do that for crypto? It just doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, I understand, everybody wants to brag in some sort of way, but just be careful who you brag to, because the bragged to in the future might be Baroque, and they will remember that you're not broke. And so yeah, MicroStrategy continues to buy more Bitcoin. Rich people continue to buy more Bitcoin. We've had tons of news on both channels over the course of the last 2 years as the cryptocurrency market has gone down in price, of all these people who are extremely wealthy who are buying up more cryptocurrencies all the time. Pay attention, because they most certainly are. Anyway, I do hope that you've all enjoyed. I do hope you all are having a great day, great morning, great afternoon, great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and/or supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See See you.